Hello, and welcome to the Breakfast Room Studio here at American Quick Foods. My name is Tyler Knott, and today I'll be showing you how to operate and maintain your Quickcakes Pancake Maker. In this training video, we'll go over everything you need to know from machine part identification, proper spacing, routine maintenance, preparing the mix, operation, and shutting down the equipment. So let's just go ahead and start with the machine identification. So before we turn it on, we just want to make sure we know all the parts, go over the various electrical requirements, proper spacing, and then the daily and weekly maintenance needed for the Quickcakes Pancake Maker. So if we take a look at the front of the machine here, we'll see that it has this door that allows you to see in, so you can see the pancakes cook as they come down, and then we'll go on to the plate here. So on the left and the right hand side, underneath this lip on the door, are two little buttons. If we press up on those buttons and pull back, this allows us to release that front door and show everything inside. So the first two things that you want to take notice of are the top and bottom heater roller assemblies. These are essentially the exact same thing, except the one on the bottom is going to be longer, the one on top is going to be shorter, and that's basically just to accommodate where the wet mix comes into the machine. But as far as functionality, they basically work exactly the same. Going around these rollers are going to be the Teflon belts that the pancakes actually get cooked on and kind of roll on off. This is the conveyor system. So these Teflon belts are going to need to be changed about every 60 bags of pancake mix you go through. It's pretty simple, but we'll get to that in a later portion here of the training video. But just a quick overview of it. If you take this tension lever and you pull it all the way to the left, compresses this side, and that's basically what allows you to get the Teflon belts on and off the equipment. Also, in the top left-hand corner of the equipment is the small fan filter, and then on the back of the machine is the exhaust fan filter right here. So those need to be taken out weekly and cleaned as well. Moving back to the front of the machine, right underneath here is a metal popsicle stick, is what we call it, because that's what it looks like. And back here are two little sensors. I know you can't see it very well because it's inside the machine, so this is really what it looks like. The one in that back corner there is the stream sensor, and the one on the left there attached to that metal slide or popsicle stick is going to be the size sensor. So those are really what dictate how big or small your pancakes are going to be. Underneath the bottom roller is the crumb tray, and you can remove that by lifting up and just pulling out to the right. And basically this crumb tray is just acting kind of like as a squeegee, so as the belts turn, that bottom belt set turns and goes underneath that bottom burner, it's touching this little part here, and it's kind of cleaning the belts for you. Going to be any pancake debris or batter that dries off and falls, it'll end up right here. So that's good to know as well. On the right hand side where the pancakes exit, there are these white anti-rollers. And these basically come out of the frame, but these just spin in the opposite direction to kind of help the pancake come off of the machine so it doesn't stick or anything else like that. If we move to the top of the machine in the mix chamber, this is called the splash guard or nozzle rest. This is where the nozzle of the bag goes into the machine. So you can take this out. This is what gets dirty underneath here. You'll just wind up with some pancake debris, batter, things that dry. So this is really what needs to be cleaned on a daily basis and then replaced so it can be used for the next breakfast serving period. The last couple things to know about are the keypad cover. So this is really what the guest will see during operation. All they can really see is the OK button. The screen normally says press OK for 2. You press OK, pops out 2 pancakes in about a minute. You can also pull this down, and this reveals the full keypad underneath here. This has your power on and off button to turn the machine on and off, the menu button to go through the different menus, and then a full keypad as well. This full keypad can be used to batch pancakes. So it doesn't always make sense if you have a line of people for everybody to come, press the OK button, wait a minute, press the OK button, wait a minute. If you know you have a line and you want to feed a lot of people, you can override that press OK for 2 by entering a larger number here, such as 10, 15, or 20, hit OK, and it's just going to pump out another pancake every 20 seconds. The nice thing about this is that it lets you to batch pancakes, and then once it's done, it's just going to default right back to the original press OK for 2. So now that you know some of that, let's just go ahead and we'll talk about the spacing of the machine, as it's pretty important. The spacing of the machine, basically it has this intake fan on the left, the exhaust fan on the back, and these fans, they need space to be able to pull in air to try to regulate the temperature of the equipment, and then out the back to push that hot air so the machine doesn't overheat. So you just want to make sure that you got a good 6 inches from the back wall, you got a good 6 inches on the left so it can draw that air in and push that air out. Also, during startup, the machine is going to pull about 1,700 watts of power, which is quite a bit of power. So for that reason, it should really be plugged into its own 20 amp dedicated line. The big takeaway here is you just don't want to use any power strips, any extension cords, and the reason for that is most of them aren't rated for that amount of power, so it can end up melting that equipment and damaging ours. So you just want to plug it straight into the wall, 20 amp line, and you'll be good to go. So let's just go ahead and start talking about maintenance as well. So after the end of the breakfast period, when you remove that bag of mix, you want to take out this flash guard or the nozzle tray, and you want to clean this in a 3-compartment sink probably and let it dry, and then go ahead and replace it so it can be used, like we said, for the next breakfast period. And it just drops right in there. If you just want to make sure you're not at an angle, and it should be completely flush. It shouldn't be askew like this or anything like that, because when you shut the door, it's not going to work. You could end up breaking something. So just want to make sure that it's flush with the bottom. You should be good. It's really all you need to do on a daily basis. On a weekly basis, though, you will want to get the belt cleaning sponge. You just want to put a little bit of water back here on this, and then as the machine is turning off and cooling down, these inside belts are going to continue to run. So then we can just go ahead and we can put this sponge on the side where the pancakes exit. See if we can get a little better view here for you. And we just want to go back and forth. So the belts are going to rotate, and we're going to go back and forth with this belt sponge, and that's going to really keep those belts clean for you. Besides that, you'll also want to remove that small fan filter once a week. It says clean weekly right on it. You just want to run it under some water, get any dust, debris, anything that's accumulated off of it, let it dry, and then go ahead and reinsert it. Same thing for that exhaust fan filter on the back right. Just kind of pulls out, clean it, let it dry, and then just go ahead and put it back in, and you'll be good for another week. So that's really all the maintenance that's required on a daily and weekly basis. So the last thing that you really want to know how to do is to change these Teflon belts. So we'll just go ahead and get right into that as well. The first thing you want to do, just make sure the machine is off and cool to the touch. We don't want anybody burning themselves or anything like that. So when you want to go ahead and do this, the top and the bottom are done the exact same way. We'll just go ahead and do it on the bottom to show you how. So these white anti-rollers that we were talking about here, if you just pull in the frame, you can kind of let them hang down on the side, and they just hang, so that's great. And then you need to take this tension lever. It's going to be all the way on the right, and we want to bring it all the way to the left so it compresses this side, and then you see it releases that tension on the belt. So now that the tension on the belt is off, we can go ahead and we can just shimmy this belt back and forth, and it'll come right out. So the belts come with the mix. The machine wants a new belt every 60 bags. When you open your mix boxes, there's 15 in each, so it's every 4th box should have a belt in it, and that's designated by the box as having red letter printing on them. That just means that there's a belt inside. So you don't want to change the belt until the machine instructs you to do so, because it can throw you out of sync. But when you need to put a new belt on, open the new belts and then put your hands inside. You want them to be flat. If you turn them up, it shrinks the belt just a little bit so that it won't actually fit on the machine. So this is the best way I've found, is you just want to have your hands flat, and then you kind of want to come in at a 45-degree angle, get one side, get the other, and then shimmy it back on. So it should look a little something like this. So we got the one side, and you want to come in on the other, and then now that it's on, we just want to shimmy it back and forth like that. Make sure that it's straight on the burner. Go ahead, reapply the tension. So now you see that it's taut, and then we can put back in the white anti-roller. And then what we want to do from here is go ahead, start the machine, and then enter the belt code that comes on that casing of the belts. And basically that belt code lets the machine understand that new belts have been fitted, and it resets the belt counter because it's counting how many bags of mix you're going through. So those belt codes, you definitely want to hold on to them. Just put them in a safe place. If you lose them, just give us a call. We're happy to give you a spare. It does happen. Once a bell code has been used by the machine, it can't be used again. So that's basically just saying once that bell code's been entered, you can't be used by that machine again, and you're going to need new belts after 60 bags and a new code to let the machine understand that new belts have been fitted. So maintenance is pretty easy for the machine. It is stainless, so the biggest thing you'll probably find is you just have to wipe off fingerprints. Now we're going to go ahead and turn on the equipment so it can warm up while we go over the rest of the machine and prepare the mix to be used inside of it. To do this, we just want to take down this front keypad cover and hit the power on and off button. The screen should illuminate and will take you to a warming up screen. This warming up screen is filled with bars, and all these bars need to fill in before the equipment is fully warmed up and ready to use. A typical warm up for this machine takes about 7 to 9 minutes. In the meantime, let's go ahead and prepare our mix. To do that, we want to take the stainless steel water bottle that came with the machine. This is the right amount of water we use, and we want to make sure that the temperature of the water is appropriate as well. Using too cold of water will cause the mix to be thick and lumpy, and the machine won't be able to process it. Too warm of water, and the mix will be too runny and could cause a spill. So we want to make sure that we're in this zone here of about 68 to 75 degrees. The water bottle will light up indicating what temperature it is, and this water is currently in between about 72 and 75 degrees, making it perfect for the mix. So now what we want to do is go ahead and drop the displacement cap into the water bottle. If you drop this displacement cap into the water bottle and no water comes out the side of it, then you know you didn't have enough water in the bottle. It would probably be better to do this over a sink, but I'm going to do it here for demonstration purposes so you can see the water overflowing on the outside. So if I drop the displacement cap in, we'll see that water come out, and there we go. We now know we have the exact amount of water, which is 22 ounces. So now that we know we have the right amount of water, we need to go ahead and add this into the bag. So go ahead and take one of the dry bags of batter and open it by unscrewing the top like such. If there's any mix that gets stuck in the cap, we just want to go ahead and pull back on the back side and open it up, and that mix will fall into the bottom, and now we can go ahead and add our water. So take your water bottle, and we want to go ahead and pour the full contents of the water bottle into the bag. Now that we've emptied the water bottle into the bag, we want to go ahead and replace the cap so we don't have a spill, and then we want to start hand kneading the mix. This is actually the most important step in the entire process, because if the mix isn't prepared properly, the machine won't be able to process it, and it'll give you problems and headaches. What we're looking for here is that the mix is completely, that the mix has a good, smooth consistency that can be processed by the machine. This means that there's no pieces of the pancake mix that are still dry in there, that it's all been agitated and has that nice smooth consistency. So as we hand knead it, you'll notice that this bag is starting to puff up. Basically what's happening here is a chemical reaction where when the water gets added into the mix, it's creating air, which is filling up the bag. Just go ahead and leave that air in, as there's no problem with it. The bags aren't going to break because they're double lined, so just continue to hand knead it for about 60 seconds. Once we feel like we have hand kneaded it, we want to go ahead and really shake it up. So we just want to take one side of the bag in one hand, the other side of the bag in the other, and we want to go back and forth. But we want to do it in a fast motion to really agitate it and make sure we have a good mixture. So I'm going to go ahead and do this for about 15 seconds on each side of the bag. I call it the pancake dance. Now remember, you're not going to break the bag because they're double lined, so you can really be quite aggressive with this. And now we want to flip it over, get the mix out of the ends here, and we want to do it on the other side as well. Alright, now that we have our mix mixed up, we're just going to go ahead and lay it on the top of the machine, and we're going to let it rest for about 5 to 7 minutes while this machine continues to go ahead and warm up. Alright, so we're back, and now the machine, as you can see, is fully warmed up, and when that happens, it then says load bag now, then close lid. So those are kind of the next steps in the process, and that's what we're going to do. If you see this bag, it's full of air now, so I'm always just going to tell you to pick it back up, shake it up one more time, shake up the other side. And now that this chemical reaction is all but over, it shouldn't really produce too much more air here. So what we want to do is release the air out of the bag so it's as flat as possible so we can load it into the equipment. So if you take a look from the top, you should be able to see once I take this cap off, all this air is just going to drop out of it. So you see how all that air escaped from the bag? So then from there, we just want to kind of burp it like a baby and get all the rest of the air out. Like I said before, we just want it to be as flat as possible here. So that's pretty good, so we'll go ahead and put the cap back on. Just want to be careful not to cross thread it, make sure it's nice and tight. Then we just want to open it up like this, twist off that cap, and now it's ready to be loaded into the machine. So we'll go ahead and open up that mixed compartment door, put the nozzle right here down into the splash guard or nozzle rest. And then we want to take the end of the bag and we want to put it in between these metal spindles here. So I call this move the credit card swipe. Kind of gets the mix out of the end of the bag, makes it easier to get it in those metal spindles. It's a little pro tip, if you will. So you want to thread it in between those metal spindles, not above, not below, but in between. And I know that can be hard to see, so I have another shot here for you as well. There it is. See how that's in between those metal spindles? That's what we're looking for. So then once we have it ready to go like that, we'll just fold it over, close that top lid, and now it says, is bag loaded? Press OK for yes. So we'll go ahead and press OK for yes, and there we are. Now the machine is ready to make pancakes. It just says press OK for 2. So like I said before, if we want to make a bunch, we could put in a large number like 30, hit OK, and it's just going to make a pancake about every 20 seconds, and then go back to press OK for 2. But just for here, we'll go ahead and just do the regular press OK for 2. So we press OK. It says, please wait, making 1 of 2. You can hear the machine start to work. It's basically rolling up this bag in this top compartment, which then forces that mix that you're hearing onto the conveyor belt. So now we have this S and the E on the screen. And it says making 1 of 2. So the S stands for start, E stands for end. And then this little dot here that's moving along is basically a visual representation of that pancake inside of the machine. So now, once that first pancake gets far enough down, which I just hear it now it's going to drop the second pancake. So now we see those 2 dots inside of the on there, and that indicates the 2 pancakes are being cooked inside of the equipment. They're going to cook, rotate down on those Teflon belts, and they're just going to fall off onto our Quickcakes plate right here next to the machine. So it won't take but just a few seconds. So now we can see that the pancakes have moved down the rest of the conveyor system and are about to fall out. So if we look right over here, we'll see the first pancake fall momentarily. And there it is, a hot, fresh pancake at the touch of a button, with the second pancake right behind it, and it will be out in another 10 seconds or so. So that second pancake will get to the end here, and then it's going to fall and flop off right on top of the first one, and then we'll be ready to eat our hot, fresh pancakes. So here we go. The second one's about to fall, and there you go. 2 hot, fresh pancakes at the touch of a button in just over a minute. At the end of breakfast or the serving period, we'll need to turn off the equipment. So let's walk through on how to do that. If we go to the front of the machine and pull down that keypad cover, we'll see the power on and off button in the top right hand corner. If we give that a press, it'll say please wait, unwinding bag, then it'll say unload the bag now, then close the lid. So that's exactly what we're going to want to do. So if we go ahead and come to the top of the machine, we can lift the bag out like so. And then go ahead and close it and come back to the front. Now you'll see that it says cooling down and switching off on the screen. It's very imperative that the machine always says cooling down and switching off after use. This is because the intake fan and the exhaust fan need to continue to run to bring the machine down to a safe temperature where it can turn itself off. The intake fan and the exhaust fan will continue to run for about 30 to 45 minutes while shutting down. It's just really imperative here that we don't unplug the machine from the wall. Doing so will cut off the power to the intake and the exhaust fan, trapping the heat inside of the machine, which then can damage the components such as the size and the stream sensor. So the big takeaway is we just want this screen to say switching off and cooling down, and that'll continue to go on for about 30 to 45 minutes. Then once it turns off, we'll be ready to go for the next morning. Thank you very much.